Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the world, Hocus Pocus. The film Hocus Pocus, by the way, there are spoilers for Hocus Pocus 1 and Hocus Pocus 2 in this content. All right, y'all know I love me some Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm not sure you know, I am like one of the most hardcore Hocus Pocus fans in the world. I absolutely love the movie Hocus Pocus. It's kind of a problem because I'm like an evangelical Christian, and we do not celebrate Halloween. It's the Devil's Day. Like that's like pretty clear, right? So we don't celebrate it, and so I really shouldn't like this film as much as I do. But man, do I like Hocus Pocus. And I like it for a lot of reasons, but this is all very related to Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm going to bring us full circle. But I want to talk about my road to being a Hocus Pocus fan, and then I'm going to talk about why Hocus Pocus 2 is so important to every dungeon master. All right, so let's jump into it. Okay, so the reason why I love Hocus Pocus, the film, is Bette Midler. I am a huge Bette Midler fan. So right before I went to Chichester High School, right? And I was a wrestler, and I was on track. And then I went to Military University for my bachelor's, and I met a girl in year one of Millersville University, and whirlwind romance that ended in tears and flames after I think maybe 4 to 6 months, right? It was not long, right? But this girl this girl that I dated before my wife, I literally broke up with when I met my wife. I was like, bye. Like, actually, the girl had broken up with me several times before, and I would always like kind of crawl back, right? And then I met my wife, and I was like, oh, remember how you always wanted to break up? Let's do that now. Like, it was weird. And then weirdly, like, she was all upset, right? Like, broke up with me no less than 3 times. But the minute I wanted to break up, now it's a problem or whatever. But that girl, we went to a small theater. I think it's knocked down now. That was behind Millersville University, and we saw Beaches, right? And it was like cheap. It was like $3 or $4. You could see new release films. Maybe they were a month or 2 old. And I went to see Beaches, and I just fell in love with Bette Midler as an actress. She was amazing in the film Beaches. If you've never seen it, absolutely watch it. It's incredible, and it made me a lifelong fan of Bette Midler. And get this, I think Hocus Pocus is Bette Midler's best performance ever. So she plays Winifred, and she has 2 sisters, Mary and Sarah. And Winifred, Mary, and Sarah are some of the most iconic Winsome villains that have ever been on screen. And so from a dungeon master, so let's talk about this from a dungeon master perspective. So one, I can run me a Vecna, right? Oh, I'm Vecna, I'm gonna kill you. But what about the Winsome villains? The villains who are like straight evil, like, make no mistake, okay? Winifred, Mary, and Sarah are neutral evil, okay? They are straight evil as evil comes. They eat children. And you're like, this is on Disney Plus, and they're like saying flat out that these witches eat kids. Like, they're like, put them in a pie. And you're like, that's really odd, right? And that's one of the things I love too, is Hocus Pocus don't make no sense, right? Because they are unapologetic that Winifred, Mary, and Sarah are straight witches, right? That's another thing I love as a dungeon master, is it looks at magic from this witch perspective. Now, I know we are in the transgender and lots of genders and all this, but generally witchcraft is lady magic, right? It's a specific slice of, and I understand everybody can be a lady now. I got that, right? But witchcraft is like a different, arcane wizardry in Dungeons and Dragons is like, I'm a dude and I'm studying hard at the arcane library, and now I can cast a fireball. And witchcraft is very different. They're like, hey, I'm a lady and I study hard, and now I can help people with a poultice, or I can curse you and turn you into a toad. It's its own slice, and it's really unique and fresh and different, and I love it, right? And so Hocus Pocus really shows magicians, actually mages, right, witch, right? It's just a different type of mage, right? And it is so brilliantly crafted in Hocus Pocus, and it really treats Mary, Sarah, and Winifred as wizards, just straight up dope wizards, right? Who do their thing and throw it down and cast and create new spells and brew potions, and it's all in real time, and it's all like, it's just a beautiful picture of a unique set of magic, right? And I'm just so down for it. And it has, it has Bette Midler, who I'm a huge fan of. Kathy Najimy, very funny. And then Sarah Jessica Parker. I am not a fan of Sarah Jessica Parker. Sex and the City, garbage. I tried watching like 2 or 3 episodes, and I'm like, I'm never gonna finish this. And everybody in the world loves it. I think it's stupid, and I don't like it. And I'm actually really not a fan of Sarah Jessica Parker. She is perfect for this role. I just, like, as much as I dislike her personally, she crushes it in this role. Like, that's that, right? That's what actors do. They can, like, transform themselves and be somebody else, right? And I really just very personally dislike Sarah Jessica Parker, everything she stands for, everything she is. I feel like she's just very typical Hollywood. But as Sarah, she is spot on, right? And I just think Hocus Pocus is perfectly cast, and it is a brilliant slice of a specific corner of magic, right? But it also shows how to run winsome villains, right? Like villains who are just straight evil, but are so fun and interesting and intelligent. And then even like, Mary is not intelligent, right? And but it shows the relationship of sisters. There's so much here, right? And I think when it comes to crafting villains, dealing with magic, every dungeon master has to see Hocus Pocus 1 and Hocus Pocus 2. The other thing I thought was really interesting was at the beginning of Hocus Pocus 2, Winifred says, let's go into the Forbidden Forest. They have to run away from the townsfolk who hate them for, witches got problems, right? So the townfolks, run them off, and they escape into the Forbidden Woods, where they immediately meet a witch, and they're all kids. Winifred, Sarah, and Mary are kids, right? And the witch is like, ooh, I'm going to eat you. I'm going to bake you up, cut you up, and right? And you're like, I still cannot believe this is on Disney Plus. They openly talk about eating children. Like, this is like, usually you have to go to Netflix and go to Dahmer for this kind of stuff. Like, it's just, ugh, right? It's just weird. It is weird, right? And again, you don't get away with this without Bette Midler. But, like, charm is a real thing, right? Like, it's just, and so, as a child, Winifred, Sarah, and Mary are encountered by a witch, and the witch is like, just smells Winifred, and it was like, oh my gosh, you are just coursing with power, right? So this goes back to that whole D&D sorcerer thing where the magic into blood, right? This witch smells it on Winifred. It's like, oh, I can't kill you. You're going to be one of the dopest, most powerful witches ever, right? And everything about Hocus Pocus 1, Hocus Pocus 2, if you're a dungeon master, you have to see this to know how to craft winsome villains and to better understand witchcraft, a specific slice of magic. All that's my humble opinion. What are your thoughts? Do you, I know, like, I watch Hocus Pocus probably 2-3 times all year long, and I don't really connect it to Halloween, but I know there's a lot of people who watch it as almost like a ritual for Halloween, like Miracle on 34th Street. So I'd love to hear your experience with this film and what aspects of Dungeons & Dragons connect to Hocus Pocus that I missed. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.